Hey guys, here's the plan. Me, you, we're gonna walk around the grow tent. I'm gonna show you all the things I have growing in here, give you a little up close looks at everything. Well, mostly everything, not everything, because some stuff is not worth talking about. But yeah, it's gonna be quite a bit of a grow tent tour. Come on in here. If you've been following along, my last planty task I was focused on was decluttering my plant collections. I've been considering getting rid of my grow tent. This has been fairly top of the noggin for me lately. I've just been doing like some pros and cons of what I should do about the grow tent. The reasons I've been considering getting rid of the grow tent are it does take up a lot of space down here in the basement. This is a 10 by 10. Yeah, it's 10 by 10. It takes up a lot of space. When we go to finish our basement at some point, this will have to be taken down. That is something I'm like pretty honestly stressed about. That's just kind of a big undertaking, especially for this size of tent, how many plants I have in here. Another con I thought of the grow tent is it isn't something that I personally have been very capable of keeping really super clean. So I do treat this more as a like outdoor space. I'm okay with there being a bit of a mess, there being dirt, plant debris, that kind of stuff on the floor. Obviously, I don't want it to get too far out of hand, but it is something I've had to come to terms with. So I'm just trying to look at it through, it's like an outside space lens and hoping that helps. That kind of outdoor lens does make it somewhere that I very easily am comfortable to come down and really quick repot a bunch of plants and not have to worry about like cleaning up my mess right away. It just makes it so much easier for me to get my plant tasks done, contains it to a space that I don't care is super like pristine clean. I'm not really eating in here. I mean, I usually will have like a water and a tea in here as I do my chores, but I do get a lot out of my grow tent. It's because it truly feels like I'm in a tropical jungle oasis. Well, as close as it can feel, I guess, with all of these grow lights and contraptions and neon green. I probably should give you a quick scan of what it looks like from outside the tent so you can get a true grasp, I don't know, of the tent. There is a lot going on. A lot going on. So much going on. Okay. I've zipped the door shut, but this is when you first walk in, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour. There's a little bit of this winding pathway through here so that I have space to walk, but I feel like I've pretty effectively used up as much space as I can while still allowing myself space to like move and do chores and bend down to see the bottom shelves and stuff, water things, that kind of a thing. I guess so the first things you come upon when you enter my grow tent are a pathway to the left and a bunch of bins and trays to the right just sitting on the floor. What this whole situation encompasses is for a while there, I was using like mostly big plastic bins. I had so many more of these shelves crammed in here and it just felt way too not natural to me. Like it felt like a freaking office building, especially with all of the millions of grow lights I have in here. Actually, if you've ever wondered, there are 29 grow lights in here. I just counted. It felt very, I don't know, like I can't even put it to words. It just didn't feel relaxing or like comforting to me. And now I've realized that I do definitely want more of a like natural feel in the grow tent, which comes back to the it's going to get messy. Where it's going to get messy, I think I needed to just kind of let things grow wild, I guess, a little bit. I don't know, like this just gives me outside patio vibes. And I love that. Yes, this is my that's the perfect description. I treat this as my like outside patio, my outside little gardening patio where I take care of all of my plant things, except it's inside in my basement. And it's fun. I have a few little, what I call begonia bins. There's also some other plants inside of them as well, but it's mostly begonia that I just, if a leaf falls off of another plant, I'll just kind of throw it in here, let it grow. And I guess I've kind of started throwing other things in here as well. Like this is a philodendron fibrosum top cut I just threw in here. I also have just a boot tray sitting down here with some more begonia plants. My favorite of which is this begonia, which one is this? Begonia nahangensis, which might be my like all-time favorite begonia variety. I think it's so cool. It is a little bit tricky to get to grow, but for some reason down here on my grow tent floor, it grows its best. So that's why I've started putting some of my other struggling begonias here, like this one. So hopefully it will bounce back like this Melanobalata nahangensis, like this nahangensis has. My favorite easy begonia variety, this is a begonia solimutata. So beautiful. I love the texture and the colors. Like this is just a really cute, grows really nicely, compactly. It looks really full for a begonia. And I don't know, I like it. It is also a little bit easier than something like this, or apparently this, which I cannot remember what this is called. This is just kind of situated in the middle of the tent. I've got another begonia bin over here with more solimutata down there, lots of solimutata, some kind of fern that just popped up, a whole bunch of moss, which I actually need to water this. That's so much better. Anyway, there is a random fern, which I love. It is so cute. I hope it gets really big. And maybe at that point, I'll take it out and try to pot it up. I don't know, we'll see. I just kind of like how wild these bins grow. It's a really easy, low maintenance way to take care of begonia. If you like begonia, but don't necessarily have a good growing or like care solution for them, then I am starting a new bin over here. How this bin looks now with like a lot of different small begonia varieties is how this bin and that bin also started. Begonia are difficult for me to care for in my household. So a lot of the plants I had out there for a long time, I'm bringing into here and just kind of doing a last ditch to see what I can keep and enjoy growing and caring for with very minimal effort in these bins, which yeah, like I just dump a jug of water into here, some Osmocote granules, sometimes some liquid earth, and that's it. They grow huge. Huge. This was like a tiny little cutting and it's taking over the whole box. It's so cool. It's also blooming over here, actually kind of all over. Oh, yes, all over. That is so fun. So if you want to try some begonias, I think this is a great way. You just kind of throw some substrate in, throw your begonia cuts in or your dying begonias in and just see what takes off. It's fun. For anyone wondering, here's the humidity and temperature information. Don't know how accurate this is. And these are the specs when the door has been closed for like 40 minutes. So it gets really, really humid in here. Also have a couple of Hoya hanging here. Again, just to help kind of save space. And I also like to try and block the grow lights a little bit with plants and other little things. And this helps to block some of the strip lights on the ceiling. Of course, I don't want to block them too much so that my plants down here aren't getting light, but it does just help make it a little bit less abrasive to be in here with the lighting. It like helps block a little bit so your eyes aren't getting blasted from every direction. You know, I honestly probably should be wearing sunglasses in here. My Monstera Esqueleto, I did chop this back a little bit, so that's why it's looking a little bit sparse here. Yeah, the bottom looks really good. It just gets a little empty before it looks good again. So I do really like how this is attaching itself to the grow tent wall. This is exactly what I'm hoping for. I'll show you a couple other plants that are doing the same thing in a little bit, but yeah, I absolutely love it. This is my moss bark bin, and whenever I find moss on top of other plants, I just throw the moss onto some damp bark in this bin to hopefully get it to grow. It has worked in some spots. and not great. And then I also just like a couple days ago threw some of these weird Hoya polyneura cuts in here to see if I could get them to root. Hopefully some of them are able to grow, and then I will, you know, pot them up. These are some, oh, I got dirt all over me from sitting on the floor. These are some philodendron fibrosum cuts that I took and threw into this pot of damp sphagnum moss. And if you're with me over on Instagram, you maybe will have seen this, but this is the best cut I got from it because the leaf is pretty nice looking. It has a really fuzzy stem and it already has a growth point activated. So cool. They'll just stay in the moss temporarily. Speaking of moss, have a propagation bin here that is just moss. I'll show you what we got going on. I love this bin. It is a somewhat recent one, but I got some philodendron subhastatum in here, varicosum, and gloriosum over here. Oh, and look, that's so exciting. They have activated growth points. That's just a leaf. Should probably toss that. This glorious has a root. Ah. And you can see the little growth point there. What else we got? Lance leaf syngonium. Okay, I don't know. I mean, we do have some growth points in here. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. See them? Yay, that makes me so happy. Success. Voila, propagation bin. I don't really talk about them too much online, but I do still very much use the propagation bin method. So that is a great prop bin, but on a less impressive propagation bin that I've got growing in here, there's an example of some moss that I will move over onto my bark. Should we just do it right now? I'm just gonna like peel it up. And then move it to the bark. And we will see. It sometimes works. I'll finish moving that moss later, but the rest of this bin is just, this is my throw leafless nodes into and see what comes out of it. I'm actually pretty sure this one is a philodendron fibrosum. This looks like a fibrosum. Yeah, so that node has grown. This one is also growing a little bit, but not much action in this bin. I guess I am pretty excited about the moss. I love some good moss. Next to that, a whole bunch of Hoya polyneuric propagations. They're just little node cuts. Probably my favorite plants I'm currently growing in my grow tent are my Passiflora trifasciata. These are a few of my bigger pots that I have going right now. I may end up selling these ones on my website soon, which is the Foliage Fix. We will see though. I do also have more over here, maybe 40 like this one. That will definitely go up on the shop as well. I love growing this plant in here. I think it always looks good. Oh, it's so pretty. The colors of them, like, doesn't that just look so pretty? Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I've also got this somewhat of a propagation bin. I used my regular potting mix in here as kind of a little experiment. Things are growing okay, but not amazingly. I'm just gonna keep doing it for a little bit longer to, I don't know, see how these things grow in. I'm not really in a hurry with these, so I'll give it a go. Next shelf up, I've got, you guessed it, more propagations. I've got, these are a couple of lance leaf syngoniums that are ready for the shop. I'm just kind of starting to gather plants over here that I know are ready. More plants. Pretty much all of them on this tray are ready to be listed. I think they're looking pretty good. This is kind of a funny grow tent setup, but I thrifted this little plant stand and I couldn't find a spot for this upstairs yet or a planter I liked for it. So for right now, I'm just enjoying it in my grow tent. I think it's really pretty. So hopefully soon I can find a spot upstairs. Some philodendron pink white princess. Yeah, philodendron white princess nodes propagating in here and some moss. And then here's the rehab I've got going on and a bunch of cebu props that just aren't looking great yet. They are by now rooted, so hopefully they start pushing some actual leaf growth soon so that they can look a little bit nicer, because Yeah, that doesn't look great. Roots look great though. Welcome to the top shelf. I do keep some of my top shelf plants up here. Well, some of them. I have a lot of Monstera elbow props up here, like so many. And they are looking really good. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. Oh, it's so pretty. This is the newest leaf. Okay, something weird I've done is, I'll show you on this weirdo. Something weird I've done is I chopped the plant but left the aerial roots rooted into the original planter. So yeah, I mean, you can see both of these have activated. You can't really, oh yeah, the roots look great down there. But I don't know, I've never really done that before. This is just a little bit of experiment. I did that with like all of them. Ooh, this one's hanging by a thread, see? Did it with all of them. Oh, this one's activated. Yay. New growth point. Oh, this one, wow, that one, this one really took off. I've got, I don't know, just like a little bit of everything right here, kind of winding all through the place. I've got my variegated Monstera species Peru. I think this might be one of the most beautiful, like eye-catching plants. I personally think is the most beautiful. Oh gosh. Don't quote me on that, but it's up there. It's in the running for sure. Like, would you look at that variegation? Really, like most of these, oh, this is a sad oblique. We're not going to talk about this one. A lot more propagations here. The newest ones being some of those same nodes that I showed you earlier. Some nodes that were propagating in this little plant stand here that I recently moved to their own little cups. Also, oh my gosh, one of my favorite plants in here, variegated holiday cactus, Schlumbergera. That's just such a cool plant. And I'm really excited for this to one day maybe end up being the same size as my other one in the other room. That'd be so cool. These two trays are my junk drawer trays. When I don't really know where I want to put something, it kind of sits here. Plants kind of move in and move out of here every so often. Once I find a spot for my plants, I try not to move them around too much because, like example, this Philodendron Splendid back here is growing from here and it's kind of attached itself to the wall. So I love when they start to grow really wild and like kind of natural like that. Just whatever they want to do, I love for them to just do it. Moral of that story, once I find a spot for the plants and once they're growing well in that spot, then I try not to move them. These leaves are big. I mean, they're about the size of my hands, maybe a little bit smaller. I do also have small hands. That's so cool. I love that. So that's everything on the shelf. Oh, they just look so good. And now to the next shelf, which does have a lot of action. They all kind of do from here, actually. I'm gonna be here all night. Are you guys ready to be here? Are you guys prepared to be here for 5 hours to talk about my grow tent? Because it might happen. This one, whole bunch of Aschenanthus type pink propagations that these ones are starting to grow. So maybe the next month or two, hopefully by the end of June. Growing pretty well. Can't really see the roots very well. That's all of these. Back here, this one, junk drawer tray, so it's out of my way. These are a couple Syngonium strawberry ice. Not trying to toot my own horn or anything. Well, no, I'm tooting the plant's horns because these plants are the most beautiful strawberry ice specimen I have ever seen, honestly, like truly. They just have such a variety of colors. It has very contrasty variegation in like all the colors that this plant could possibly offer. It looks so nice. It's growing in so nice. A lot of the time these are kind of muddy because all of the variegation kind of melts together. So having one be very sectoral like this is kind of cool. So I am very proud of that plant. This is another Syngonium tray. There are a few little Philodendron scragglers. Gonna set those aside because like they're cool, but they're not Syngonium, you know? Do you guys like Syngonium? If not, let me try and talk you into it really quick. Syngonium white butterfly. Red spot tricolor, army, T25. Green Splash. I can't remember what this one is. I think it's like strawberries and cream maybe. Pink leaves, so pretty. Ribbon. There are also a few Hoyas here, but they are my Hoya that I don't really like as much. So they've just kind of clustered together over here where I do still take care of them and hope that they'll grow to be something I like. But right now they're just really hard for me to stay on top of because I just don't love them. And also my Anthurium warocquianum, which I decided to move back in here. It was kind of floating around upstairs for a while and I realized it was never going to grow the way I wanted it to up there, but down here it just might, so it's going to be staying down here. And look, new leaf right here. That's a root. The one in front is a leaf. Yay! Yay! Next row down, we've got more Hoya. This is a Weibergier and a Gunungading. This is Globulosa longleaf or something along those lines. In front of all those is my bowl of Sansevieria, which I have yet to pot after importing. Yeah, I mean, okay, hey, wait. Those roots are looking good. That's awesome. So I've just been adding a little bit of water into here to keep these plants alive. We are getting some root growth, which is really exciting. I think that these will start to grow better once I get them potted, but I just am having a hard time finding planters I like. Maybe these just need to go into terracotta at first, as I'm able to stockpile some. Oh, this one hasn't been getting very much water. I need to get these potted. This is task number 1 going forward. And then, yeah, there's just some more propagations over here. Same for the shelf below, just kind of some philodendron and Hoya going on, but especially this one. This is what I was talking about earlier. They're looking really, really good. So I'm hoping in 1 month they will be ready. Of the ones I can see, the roots look awesome. So they're ready. Well, like this one is ready for sure. It's a little bit long, but I do want to wait for the rest of these to get a little bit longer before I list them. So I'm actually going to move this one over here so that I remember to list it soon. They're so cute. Of course, can't forget about my Sansevieria propagation bowl. It's actually also a Kalanchoe propagation bowl, but mostly little Sansevieria. Most of these leaves in here are rooted now, which is so exciting. I love propagating little tiny Sansevieria babies. It is so fun. And some more little props. I love these little Hoya Mathilde propagations. I think they look so cute. This one too. They look so cute. Okay, so many props. Another one of my favorite parts of my grow tent is like, this is so random, this little section on the floor here. I don't know, there's just something about this little section here that I'm like, yes, that definitely gives outside garden deck vibes, which I love, and that's absolutely what I'm going for in here. I did just barely chop this back, so that's why it looks like an empty pot, but it's not really. Oh, and it also has this clover. I love clover. Oxalis, it's an oxalis actually. Behind the cork bark there, I have a bin. These are Passiflora empty node cuts that didn't really have any leaves or anything going on with them. Just decided to throw them in here and see if we could get them to grow. A few of them have started. You can see like a couple teeny tiny, gosh, they are teeny tiny little leaves in there. So I don't know, we'll see if those could turn into something someday, but like it's definitely going to take time because they are minuscule. So minuscule. And here is another bin of props. I've got a couple of the Esquilito cuttings in here. Just filled the front with a bunch of philodendron pink princess notes, which are activating. It looks like they are all, well, pretty much all of them are getting leaves. And some more bins with some more props. Pretty much this whole section are just a bunch of random props and propagation bins. Nothing that I really like want to write home about right now, because yeah, struggle. But I guess these philodendron mames are quite pretty. I do really like these. Also have this jar, this vase of Syngonium jade props. There's also some Syngonium albo in there, just in water, and it does look like we have kind of a lot of roots. I don't really do anything special for this. Clearly, I'm not cleaning it out or anything. That water is quite murky. They're rooting, so can't be too miserable. This shelf, I just didn't put the 4th level on because I wanted a little bit of a lower shelf so that as plants get bigger, I have somewhere to put them. I don't have too many plants like that for right now, so I do keep a lot of my propagations here. Also some more over here. This is a sport monstera. You can really see the variegation on this leaf. It is very, very lime green, really pretty. I love sports because they are just so unique. And it's so exciting to see them grow in because they could be anything, you know? The two more on the shelf that really stand out to me. So first, this is kind of a newer plant to my collection, if you will, because it's just a bunch of pink princess philodendrons potted up together. I did propagate these. A plant I got a long time ago that got kind of scraggly, and I chopped all the nodes. That's what you saw in the bin down there. The top parts I put in here, and yeah, I'm just hoping for a very, very full plant. I don't know what it is. I just like don't super love them. And I think, honestly, I think it kind of comes back to how I was talking earlier about how some variegation can blend together a little bit and then it just looks kind of muddy and brown and just like not super stark. I don't like love variegation like that. That's how I feel a lot of the time pink princess philodendrons are, just kind of muddy. Okay, but then like that leaf, wow. I need to water this so bad. The roots are coming out the bottom. I need to go find it a saucer. That is terrible. Gonna get promoted to an ice cream tub saucer for right now because this is a very thirsty plant. I don't want it drying out this much too often. I'm just gonna let it live in here and make sure that I keep like a couple, maybe like an inch or so of water at the bottom. There's a little bit of a reservoir so the plant can keep growing. With all of that being watered, we are now moving into probably my favorite section of the whole tent. These two shelves here, my favorite section. Well, I guess I'm jumping the gun a little bit because between the two shelves, I actually have this Monstera albo growing, which has pretty well attached itself to the grow tent wall, which I love. Each leaf is getting a little bit bigger. This leaf has 2 fenestrations. It's had 1 leaf with 1 fenestration. So I do just think this is going to get really, really tall up here. And then my plan is once it reaches the ceiling, I'm going to cut it, pot it up into something over here in this little gap so it can grow up the wall again. So that's something I'm kind of working on. Another thing I love over here is this Monstera subpinnata, which is actually this planter here. It just has a really long vine. It like over through these plants here and then back around, and it finally has started pushing out leaves. So I am very happy about that. This is a plant I've struggled with for a long time, so I'm really happy it's finally doing something other than pushing vine, because it has been pushing vine for far too long now. This is a Hoya fungii. I really like the way these blooms smell. They are pretty florally, and I normally don't like that super florally smell. It is a little bit more of like a sweet floral. So I love coming to open up the door and check on my grow tent every morning lately because the whole tent smells like these, which is really, really fun. And I like genuinely look forward to it every day. So it helps me take care of my plants. I need to get a few more of my Hoya to bloom so that I can just always have something smell good in here. I guess we will start on this top shelf, which, yeah, it's pretty clustered. I have some propagations. I mean, it's just a little bit of everything. The plants that really stand out to me up here, though, would be Anthurium crystallinum back here. It's pretty cute. Yeah, and then I guess this Anthurium, which has thrown a couple of these. I forget what these are called. There's the last one, it's dried up, but inflorescence. 2 of these, not sure why. I think the plant might be dying. I don't know, like, why did that leaf do that? Why? Do you guys know what could be wrong with this? I know this plant doesn't look like I really love it because it's in not a great state, but I love it. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. So if you can answer why this is happening, that's happening, and this is happening, I actually kind of think this is cool, but I have a feeling the plant is trying not to die. The stuff on this top shelf, the propagations don't look great, but I do still really like this because overall things are growing in pretty nicely, and there is kind of a lot to look at, which I don't know if you can tell. I like things to be a little bit cluttered and busy. This is probably the most sad plant in my tent, which is a bunch of syngoniums. I'm actually gonna move it. I don't want it there anymore. It's just gonna sit on the floor over by the door for now. This plant is so cute. Isn't this one so cute? I don't know why I had it hidden behind that other plant. Also really weird. That's kind of freaky actually. But the leaves look great. This is the best state I've ever had in anthurium. So I am like thrilled about this. Thrilled. And I just hope it keeps growing in nicely. Moving down a shelf, another one of my favorites. The Hoya we were talking about earlier. This is a Codex. This is a Stephania erecta, which is barely waking up. I did move it into here so that it would hopefully be forced to wake up 3 different little terrariums. This one has some isopods. You can see one right there. Actually, there's another one right there. That's really fun. I love terrariums. Got a whole bunch of planters here. This thing, which I am going to try and pot something in sphagnum moss and then hang it from somewhere. We'll see. I just haven't decided what yet. So that's why it's kind of sitting here so I can mull it over as I'm in here. I'm like reminded to check for a plant to pot in here. I did thrift this a while ago and I would love to finally put it to use. And the only other thing on the shelf are some pieces of wood. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. These 2 in particular are 2 of my favorite pieces of wood, but whenever I have to go to the pet store or anything like that, I always check the like terrarium section. Sometimes they have really cool pieces of wood that I like to use these in my terrarium type stuff, some project stuff. So if I see a shape of one I like that's like really unique and kind of cool, I just buy them and save them in here until I use them for something. I don't know, they just always come in handy. It seems like whenever I was doing a project, I like could never find pieces of wood I like. So here's my solution. Just buy them and store them in here. Next shelf down, we have some shop props and then some Hoya and a lot of oxalis growing over here. It looks so cute. Honestly, I love that more than I love the actual Hoyas. Like I like Hoyas, especially when they bloom, but when they're really, really small like this, they just don't really do it for me. So then, I don't know, the oxalis outshines them to me. Except for this one, Lacunosa snowcap. And I do think this one is really, really cool. Yeah, but that oxalis, do you agree? Please tell me you agree with me. Actually, tell me either way. Okay, this is a terrible note to end on, but this is the last shelf. That tray is empty, but in here I have a monstera. I think that's a monstera. And some trubii moonlight props. Oh, just the leaves are dying, the nodes are fine. So, okay, that actually looks a lot worse than it is. It's okay if the leaf dies off of a node. It still has a chance to propagate. See, there's the, oh, here's the subpinnata leaves. Here's another leaf, the first leaf it put out ever in my possession. And then look. And then it goes all the way up right there. That is so weird. What the heck? I don't know. For any of you watching this right now who are considering getting a grow tent, my personal opinion, if you have the space and are super serious into the hobby, maybe even you dabble into selling, I absolutely think it's worth it. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt. So if you're somebody who, you know, you just want to like casually be watering your plants once a week, I don't know, okay? I don't know if I think it's worth it. I think it really, for me, it has been worth it, but it has also caused me some stress over the years. So there's my recommendation. I don't even myself know if that was a yes or a no. For any of you watching this that have a grow tent, do you think it's worth it or not? Or do you kind of feel like how I feel, confused? It's a complicated relationship with the grow tent. That's everything in my tent. Well, mostly everything. Obviously, I didn't show you like each individual thing, but the stuff that stands out, I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I had a great time. I love tinkering around and talking about my grow tent stuff. So thank you for listening. I will see you next time. Bye. Ryan's up there hacking up a lung.